What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment, and I wanted to go into the Hall of Fame game. Yes, it is a preseason game. It's probably going to be the only one we really cover, but I had to go into it. If you look at the stats here, it's just really overwhelming. But no, even without knowing who's playing, to me, I never really looked at this kind of stuff. I found a few things interesting, and I'll go into them. One, they're not really talking about if certain stars are going to, if starters are going to play. I'd wager to say we will see some starters, but not for a while. Maybe for a little bit, just to get people hyped. Now, the reason I really like this game and the reason I like the Browns is twofold. It's one, while it's not in Cleveland, it's in Ohio, obviously. It's in the Hall of Fame stadium. And I find it interesting, Tom Benson Hall of Fame. I feel like there's a lot of synchronicities with like names, and even if they're not the exact same name, because if you didn't know, they're playing on Tom Brady, the inevitable Hall of Famer's birthday. So Tom Brady retires, and now we have Jets, Browns. And it's funny because his coach, Belichick, obviously coached these two teams and on the Patriots. So I find a lot of weird commonalities there, and I feel like that's where they have like these little like circle moments, full circle moments. I feel like inherently Brady and Belichick are going to be tied together. And yeah, I find it interesting. 8-3-38 is always a big number for the Gematria dudes. But I found it interesting because it's Brady's birthday, and we're going to have Jets versus Browns. Now, I like the Browns because this is their first game. It's going to be their first game since Jim Brown died. And even though it's not a regular season game, now in the regular season, it's probably going to be the reason I like them week 1 too. It's going to be the same deal. But I think even in a preseason game, they're going to say something, how fitting, the Hall of Fame game, and the Browns get it done for, the greatest Brown to ever exist. Something to that, effect. I could be wrong, but again, it's a narrative game in my opinion. I think they're really going to have these guys look like the Jets and Browns of old, the rugged type of game, with some flash, but mostly rugged. But I think the hometown heroes here are going to get the win for the spirit of Jim Brown, if you will. I always look at interesting things like capacity. It's 23,000. Obviously, his number is 32. And I don't like to look too deep into that stuff. It is interesting when I see a lot of repetitive numbers, a lot of 2-3s if you're looking, but I even look at like the weather and things like that, and I try and see if there's some interesting things. Way off topic, but just so you know, this is how I use my gematria. I don't really just type in like 83 and see what matches up. Like, I look for downright ridiculous examples. If you go back to 6'9", the Rockies played a team, and I forget who it was. Let's say the Padres. They're playing them now, but they played somebody, and they lost 6-9, which is kind of crazy enough. But the pitcher came into the game with a 6.99 ERA. They showed the attendance. I think it was like 16,900. It was just crazy, all the 6 and 9s that came up. But I do like to look for those things, so I don't dismiss it. So when I saw 8-3, I thought it was really interesting. They'll be playing on Tom Brady in Tom Benson Stadium, on his birthday. And I think it lines up better for the Browns. Again, Brady was a Jets rival. And not even that. It's more for the Jim Brown reason. I like Jim Brown. So I like that narrative. It's a dead even game, so just straight up money line. I think what is it, 1.5? Yeah. So yeah, Browns money line. You're gonna get even. You're not gonna get juiced, which is nice, and that's coming up in a couple days. So I like that game. Now, for football season, a lot of people are telling me like they're getting unsubscribed, they're not getting notifications, and I'm not that guy to be like, oh yeah, check, but. I will say you might have to search my channel, specifically search my channel to get new videos. People are just now telling me how they're getting old videos, and I found this kind of comical. And this is kind of how it works, just so you know, like the behind the scenes, if you will, the minutia of it all. So this happened to my last account too, and it's not something that I obsess over. But if you look at like, this is just like since we started, you'll see we just, organic, I'd say. We got our spurts during like the playoffs, during football season. And then if you look, still, fine. Even when we're like the last, you'll see after May 31st, it kind of fell off a cliff, which is fine. It's expected. But what I find interesting is like this is just very abnormal. This is going back a month, and it's just like -1-1, -1-1. Now there's a good chance maybe every time I put a video, a subscriber says, you know what, I'm tired of this asshole, and I'm just gonna leave. But yeah, it's really interesting. Basically, every time I get one subscriber, I lose one. So we've dropped from like 905 to like 900, which is fine. Like I obsess over. But someone commented to me yesterday. They're like, "How is your channel still at 900?" Like basically, because it's like I guess watching like a TV screen load, and it's moving like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then it just buffers at the very end. It seems that they do have certain totem marks. It happened to me around 500, and it happened on my last channel. And then what happened is we started flying, so they couldn't really. The unsubscribe rate wasn't even close, so we were just flying like 20 a day, and then that's when I got shut down. I got shut down on Christmas at 996, 999, something. It was 996 when I last checked, and then when I went to do my next video, I couldn't log in, found out I was shut down. And if you hadn't seen my first video on this channel, it goes into everything. It shows the ridiculous email I got. Just doesn't even say what I did because I didn't do anything. It's not a sob story, though. I just wanted to go into, it's pretty funny. So we're going to be seeing that for a while. I really don't care. And you might not see my thumbnail because it doesn't show my thumbnails. What it does is it shows like a grainy still shot like here. So when you're scrolling, you're literally going to see like this. So that's the kind of stuff that I've noticed, and it's fine. We're doing fine anyway. And again, if analytics are any measure, I expect us to have a flourishing football season. And since I won't be monetizing this time because that's what got me shut down last time, I firmly believe there should be nothing stopping us. So the way this would work, I went into my baseball video yesterday. If you didn't see it, we did pretty good with baseball. Exactly what I went into with the plus odds is what happened on 2 games. And, one paid 2-1, one paid 1.5-1. It makes the system just basically pay itself. But I'm going to be doing that for the football season too. I'm going to post like a more exclusive one on the might buy me a coffee. Last season, like I said, just doing I didn't even do a whole weekly schedule. I just kind of put out maybe like 5-6 games a week I liked, and we did over 100 units. And it was actually well over 100. I say 100 to be safe. It was like closer to 2 because we had a channel get shut down, and if you watch this channel, we ran it up over 100 units. So I think we'll do great with football. But the way this would work is this would be a leg one unit. So if you're a high roller, maybe $100. If you're lower roller, $5. And then if it does not win, the next game we pick is going to be for twice the amount. Now, I went into it all in my last video and in other videos, but we'll be doing it on all football season. It's going to be a lot easier with the regular season because preseason it is like flipping a coin, whereas the regular season, I'll give you an example. If you have a team that's like 3 out of the division or 2 out of the division, and then their division rivals win, and it's like the Cowboys and Eagles, and it's like the only other team that has a shot, then we almost know that there's a much better chance that now they're going to win because they're not going to have one team pull ahead that much. So when I notice certain Monday Night Football matchups, things like that, sometimes seeing which team wins in a division, like in the 1 o'clock game, helps tremendously with the 4s. And I'll give you another perfect example. Last year with the NFC South, that's exactly what we did. Once it got to a point where it was like, these guys suck, it's just a matter of how bad the winning team's going to be. We all knew it was going to be the Bucs that made the playoffs. So if it was like the Panthers and they're matched up against the Saints, and the Panthers were a game ahead of the Bucs, and the Saints were a game behind the Bucs, then I almost knew the Saints were going to win because then they'd all be even again. And that's literally what happened like for the second half of the season. If we got the 1 o'clock game wrong, we got the 4 o'clock game right because it was just a matter of, are both these teams going to win or are they both going to lose? Talking about the Bucs and the Falcons and the Panthers, all of them really. So by seeing how certain games in a division go, it can almost be a direct contingent on what's going to happen in a later game. So that's a lot of times what I'll do is my leg 1 will be a 1 o'clock game. My leg 2 will be a 4 o'clock game. This obviously is more beneficial as the season goes on, but it does work in the beginning of the year. There's people with theories that like both New York teams never win at the same time. I've noticed that more with to be fair, with basketball. It seems like the Lakers and Clippers never win on the same night, but it happens across the leagues, I'm sure. But yeah, because of Jim Brown, because of the history, it's in Ohio on 8/3, Tom Brady's birthday. You know, freaking probably the Jets' biggest rival ever. I do like the Browns for this win, and I'll go into other games, but I just thought this one is the most worth covering because it's an actual narrative game. It's a Hall of Fame game. It's separate, in my opinion, from the other preseason games for a reason. So let me know what you think. Like I said, obviously they're not going to show any of these statistics, but I think we're going to get a pretty gritty game, close game, and I think the Browns will win a close game, and we'll hear Jim Brown brought up at least a few times. So take care, everybody, and happy earnings.